Hi everyone, welcome to our July webinar, How to Simplify and Automate AP Process for a Remote Team in Just Days with Docuware's Invoice Processing Solution. My name is Nicole Schmeida. I'm the Marketing Specialist here at Docuware, and I'll be moderating the Q&A at the end of this session. Today you'll hear from Mike Reno, Regional Sales Director here at Docuware. Before we begin, I want to let you know this webinar is being recorded, and by tomorrow morning, I'll email you the recording along with a copy of the slides and some handouts. If you look in your GoToWebinar panel now in the handout section, there's 3 for you to download right now. We have our invoice processing product flyer, an FAQ flyer, and a new case study we just released where you can read about how an AC and plumbing company in Las Vegas got up and running with Docuware for invoice processing in just a few days when they had to close down and start working remotely. So as you can see on the screen now, on the right, you'll see today's agenda. First, Mike will introduce Docuware invoice processing and the features that you should be aware of, and then he'll go right into a live demo. And at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A. We're scheduled for 45 minutes, but if there's a lot of questions at the end, we'll go a little longer. But of course, like I said before, tomorrow morning, I'll email you the recording, slides, and handouts. Thank you again for joining us, and now I'll pass it off to Mike.
Thanks, Nicole. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day and joining us here on this WebEx on invoice processing. What we're going to do today is kind of walk through a very specific case around accounting and invoice processing. And we're also going to introduce to you Docuware itself. So with Docuware, it's a very easy program to access because it's accessible by the web. All you need is a Safari, a Google Chrome, an Internet Explorer, an Edge, or even a mobile device. And you'll get a very simplistic view, as you see on the screen now, and a very simplistic layout of Docuware so you can manage your documents. When it comes to invoice processing, there's lots of different tools you're going to need in order to get the right data and get the information to the correct people in order to process your invoices. So one of the first tools we give you is a capture tool that has our artificial intelligence of intelligent indexing built into it so we can capture data off of your invoices quickly and more efficiently. This takes away the human-prone error of manual typing, missing a decimal point here or there, misspelling a name. Our intelligent indexing itself is going to be able to grab that company name and the company data itself, the invoice total, the tax, the freight, and bring that over so it can be put into your filing cabinet or a workflow in order to process your invoice. And that's the first tool you're going to need when it comes to processing your invoices is a nice capture tool that's able to get the information off the document that's pertinent to moving forward. Secondly, you're going to need a secure storage area to properly store your documents and be able to retrieve them at any time and anywhere and from virtually any device with the internet connection. With Docuware, you're going to get full compliancy within your industry with white papers available to review what we have structured in the backside in order to meet the compliancy standards from GDPR to HIPAA. Once you get your documents into a secure storage area, the next piece is being able to move your documents around and get the correct approvals that are needed, and then be able to store it and extract the data needed to go into your ERP system in order to process your invoices within a workflow process. So be able to digitize what you do on paper in a manual process and bring it in to an electronic workflow within Docuware and have your rules predefined so we don't ever miss anything that's standard to your process is how all of this comes together into one nice rounded out solution. Now, whether in accounting, there's a couple different steps that you take, and whether you're doing a quick match, a three-way match, a straight through approval process, or maybe we have to go to certain cost centers in order to get approval. You're also going to be able to Geo Code your documents here in the workflow process and get that data extracted to put into an ERP system. By following all of these simple steps within Docuware, you're going to be able to improve your approval time and start taking advantage of other discounts your vendors may have available to you, like early pay. Some vendors do offer 10% if you pay within 15 days. You can start taking advantage of those within Docuware. If there's ever an audit you go through, having Docuware there with all of your tracking, your tracking of your audit trails and your invoices on where they've been, how it's been used, who's used it, it reduces your audit preparation time tremendously in the final stage of your storage. We'll also give you a retention period. That way you can default how long you need to keep certain records and review how often they need to be deleted. Now, with all that said, we're going to give you all these tools inside of our pre-configured solution called invoice processing with Docuware. And the way we do that is we have it tailored to meet everyone's needs. We have two different types of setups for this type of system to bring these tools to you. We have advanced and we have default. Default is more for, I don't have a huge workflow process. I just need to validate that I don't have any duplicate invoices. I need to have an approval just to make sure it's marked and it's booked and I exported it and I have it marked in my ERP system as paid. That's what the default settings are for. That real simple workflow that's there for you to push it through and have it get into your ERP system or put it out for just for a pay and marked it in your system to where it says paid. When we go to advanced settings, now we're into that more elaborate of a decision tree, that more elaborate process in order to put one through that requires a W-9 on file for verifying that this vendor is supposed to be in our system. Doing your quick match, or maybe even going as far as your three-way match with your purchase orders and your packing slips to your invoice. Any level of approval that's needed between multi-level approvals or cost centers that allow you to push it through your business network to get the approval needed to pay the invoice. And then the last important piece with the advanced settings is that we build the CSV file for you to extract into most ERP systems. We give you the data that most systems require. Now, I know what you're saying right now at this point. This sounds good, this sounds great, but this is going to take forever to build out and put together, but it really doesn't, because we have got it down to a science to where we can do this in just 3 days. It's based on the Docuware Cloud platform. It's completely pre-configured with 30 years of experience of how invoices have been processed. It's a quick, fast implementation with our professional services team, and we walk you through the entire step, and there's also training involved that we bring you through to teach you how to use the system like this. So very smart, it's very adaptable, and it will help your business continuity with any type of a compliance and auditing that's coming down your way as well. Now, if you're anything like me, that's a lot of PowerPoints and a lot of talking, but we kind of need to see what's going on with this system and what it looks like. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Docuware system and see what we got here. You can see that I'm using Google Chrome for this access, but again, as I said, you can use pretty much anything you need to access Docuware, from Edge to Explorer to Safari. As long as you have an internet connection, you can get to our system. Once you're inside of Docuware, this is your layout. It's real easy. It's a left or right view, so you don't have to relearn or retrain your brain on anything. The right-hand side is our document viewer. This is where we're going to view documents and take a look at them. It comes with a handy-dandy toolbar that we're going to be playing with later on in this demo, with lots of different tools that are associated to this, especially when you do different annotations on your document. Whatever you can do on paper, we can do electronically. On the left-hand side, you're seeing what I call the mothership, or the navigation pane. This is where everything is happening. This is the main record for you to go play with your documents and get them into workflows and get them processed. A document tray is the first area where documents land in order for them to be processed. So in this case, with invoice processing, all of our invoices are going to start here to be classified, so we know what workflow they need to go through, whether it be a straight through, a quick match, or maybe a three-way match approval. It's real simple to get documents in. We can either do it by email. We have our Microsoft integration with Outlook. You can do import, which is what we're going to use today. You can drag and you can go into your storage facility on your local computer. You can also just select the items you need to bring in and just hit open, and they can drop right into your inbox, your document tray right here. If you have local scanners, we can do local scanner setups. We can also read folders on the network. So there's multiple ways we're going to grab these documents and get them processed. So you don't have to worry about if documents are coming in the Docuware. We're going to make sure they get there for you. Since the document tray is the area where you're going to be processing your documents, search is where all of your file cabinets are that you're going to be pre-built for you to find different processes of invoices in different locations. What do I mean by that? So for instance, if you had a credit card that was paid to an invoice, we're going to have a list built that says, hey, this paid by AMX, and now you need to pay AMX on your credit card. Do not pay the vendor. Or maybe we just need to go look for invoices in general, and then we can pull up our invoices right inside of our cabinet. And you can have your search dialog pulled up with the exact criteria you're looking for. Once you get data into the system and start building your cabinets, you're going to see lists come into play. Lists are these active searches where you don't have to go in and build that search every single time. For instance, as you see right now, we have an open PO in the system, and this shows an open PO from US Steel. These lists are very dynamic in that respect to where they will always be populating information for you that shows what's relevant to your processes internally. Whether we're looking at sales tax checks, booking records for a certain booking period, or if we're looking at posted invoices for that day. As you get over to tasks are generated by the workflow feature that will remind you that you have something to complete. Whether you're GL coding, approving the cost center, or just simply approving a document to be paid. Tasks are where this is going to pop up, especially in this workflow for us. So let's go back to our document tray real quick and take a look at some of the documents I brought in here by our import feature. Because now you're going to see that there are different colors on the screen with our documents. You see yellow and you see green. These are telling us the confidence level we know of reading the information in the specific index data we're looking for on the document. So if I were to select my Mason invoice here, I can go ahead and choose my store dialog, and you can see that it starts pulling in the information automatically on the left-hand side. Now, sometimes the information may not be exactly what you're looking for, so we make it real easy for you to erase and correct. In this case, our WB Mason was looking on the form, which it did a good job of pulling over the name. But in this case, we have a very specific name with a company record that's associated to that item itself. And that pops up down below in what we call our master vendor record, which is what you give us to associate your vendors with your company name, and we can verify that they're registered in your system. Once you know the information here is correct, you can continue to scroll down your screen and view all the information available that it's pulling. So for instance, invoice here populates on the right-hand side, gives it a little glow, puts it right over here so you can see where it is really fast and just do a quick eye check on it. As I continue to click, you'll see the glow follows the document down into the different areas associated with the index data on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side. We come down to tax, and then we get our total at the bottom as well. Once you've reviewed the index data and know the information is correct, this is level 1. Now we're ready to put this into the next stage, level 2. All we have to do is hit store, and the document will be pushed away into the next area for it to be processed. In this case, a task is going to generate for us, and it's going to show an activity called completion. Now, this brings up a whole talking point on why this invoice went into completion. This is what we call our quick match. I was able to bring this invoice in because it's already stated within our system predefined that a quick match is pre-approved for this vendor for any invoice under $1,000. If we remember, when I was looking at the index data, we pointed out that the total amount of this invoice was $165.65, which completely meets that limit of under $1,000. So in this case, the workflow knows that we don't need to push this on for any further approval. We do not need a packing list, and we do not need an invoice complete under a PO for this as well. We can just go ahead and geocode our invoice here and get it over into our ERP to be approved. So when I go ahead and click on my first line to add a cost center, you're going to see that it automatically brings my total over into my geocoding center here. When I have predefined Geo Codes, it's real simple to do a drop down and look for what you're looking, or you can still do a simple search by typing in and bringing up the area you're looking for. For this invoice, we're going to leave it as job materials, and then we're also going to assign this to our manager's cost center. That way they get alerted that we have a new invoice coming through and they need to approve this dollar amount for us in the future. That is being assigned to their cost center for the future of this invoice. Once we know all of that information is correct, we just hit confirm. And now that document, since it was all it's needed to process, is now done. As it comes in, you're going to see that we are into a posted invoice under our list, and it shows that the WB Mason has posted itself. And then also you're going to see we have an active process that's opened in 2 days. So it's going to show that it's posted, but it's also letting you know where it is inside of your Docuware system via the list itself. Now you're going to see that that document has left our system and is no longer an old document that's being sitting there for processing. But you're also going to see now that we have created a booking record that is now booked with the date of the month that we put this through. Now this booking record could be set by what you need it to be. It's just a setting inside of our index fields that we set. So if your accounting period is different than what is currently on the document, you can set it to be that accounting period, and then we can build the booking record around that accounting period itself as well. This comes into play later on when we need to put this into your ERP system. That was a quick match of our invoice for WB Mason. This is now completed and ready to be exported for payment later on. Next, we're going to keep going here, and we're going to dive into Three-Way Match. Three-Way Match allows us to put invoices to POs and packing slips in order to know that it's already fully approved and we don't need to get individual approval for that type of PO, for that type of invoice or PO. So for this one, we're going to use our US still, and we're going to go ahead and select our same filing cabinet to store it into. Now this time when we do it, all the information came over as green, so it says it's very confident, and we can verify that the information is correct just by clicking on the highlighted areas. As you see at the bottom here, it will glow in the different sections that are required for the dollar amounts. Now that we know everything is good to go, we can just hit store. Now this time when we hit store, it's going to come into our task list and let us know that we have another completion activity. But this completion activity is a little different when we come look at our validation status, because it says it was completed by a three-way match. Well, how do you know this document was completed by a three-way match other than the validation status telling you it was completed by a three-way match? Well, let's come back to our handy dandy toolbar and bring this guy up and have a conversation around this real fast. So our toolbar here is a multi-layer toolbar that helps us in different aspects of our documents. Again, maybe collaboration is key within your department for writing on the document and leaving notes. So we're able to read text boxes that say review section 2. We can also do simple annotations to highlight certain areas. You can also do simple redaction if something doesn't need to be seen. You can choose the white area and you're able to close it off. But we don't ruin the integrity of the document because you can turn these on and off as needed because they're just layers on top of the document itself. Pretty cool annotations for if you're doing any kind of review or markup on the document to see if something is wrong and you need to kick it back. But the real piece while we're here is coming down here to this related document piece where it says IP three-way match. When I click on that link right there, Docuware is going to bring this up into a whole new section and show me everything related to that invoice that was matched by a three-way match. And here on the screen, you can see a purchase order, a packing slip, and then here's the actual invoice we brought into the system itself. So by using your toolbar, you can quickly see how it three-way matched all the documents together and review them to make sure it is correct and it's easy for you to approve the process of this invoice. So now once we're able to review that, we can come down and do our geo coding and our cost entering inside of our box. Now before we had a real easy cost enter, which is 1, 2, 3 right over left to right, but maybe you have a little bit more and you need some more room. So you're able to click now on our maximize table option, and now you can come right into our table and do your geocoding really fast, really quick. So here we'll go ahead and do this as taxes and licenses. We'll bring this down and we'll come over to our amount and do it as a sales tax. Your cost center will always, in this case, be manager, and then we can keep going down the line as we need it and add our different line items for our Geo Codes. Freight and delivery, management, and we can just highlight the freight and delivery piece right there. Once you have everything completed, now we can just add our subtotal. And add our management group here. And you'll see our totals automatically do the math for us. So as we added our amount down, you can see the total here matches the total on the invoice, and we can just hit confirm. Now that that's already Threeway matched and put through, our lists are going to show us back in our booking record. We're going to see that we have a couple different invoices from US still put through because of our line items, and we also have the WB Mason on here. I know this is not clean and pretty yet, but we're getting to the point where we will be able to review this document in more of its entirety. I just wanted to show you that it is still writing to this booking record in this accounting period until we make a change with that period itself. It's going to continue to write to the existing document. Now, what happens when you got to do a more in-depth approval with a single person approval? Because there is no PO, there is no dollar corporate limit that says, hey, we just need to push it through because it's under $1,000. Well, we're able to do that with Docuware as well. Same process as before. You choose your store filing cabinet and how you're going to put it through. Check your data, make sure all your data meets the right criteria by selecting it on the left and highlighting it on the right, making sure everything matches up, and you just hit store. Real fast, real quick when we start getting through that part of the process. Task generate. Now we look over here, activity details. It says check details. It's letting us know that this is not a completion. It lets us know that there's more happening here. So when we click on the document, our standard information check says we're missing a Threeway match, we're missing a packing slip, and we're missing the PO as we mentioned before. Only thing we need to do right now, this is a review process. This is reviewing that, hey, we are paying Phone Wizard. They are a valid vendor in our system, and we do need to get them paid in this process. But what if they're not? What if there's something wrong with that and we need to verify? So down in your decision tree on the left-hand side, we're able to do different decisions to help us out in this process. So maybe you want to correct and recheck the invoice because it wasn't indexed properly getting to you. You can kick that back, or you can make the corrections yourself. Maybe the vendor sent you the wrong invoice in general. You can kick it back to the vendor saying, hey, I received the wrong invoice. Maybe you're not going to accept that for a rejected reason. Something was completely wrong with it. Or maybe this was scanned by accident and does not need to be in your system, so you can kill the process. Within our workflow, we're going to give you this decision tree in order so you can make educated, balanced decisions within your business to push your documents through and get approvals. In this case, we know this is a good match, even though it says it's failed. So we're able to hit confirm to push it on to the next level of the process, which now you're going to see the task generate of cost center assignment. So now we're allowed to come in, and we have a different screen as what we saw before with our cost centers, because now we have to be able to select a requester. We don't have a completed process that says we can just pay it. We need to get further approvals. So if you needed to come back and choose one person specifically, you can do a drop-down list and have your one specific person within the company do the approval. But in this case, this is a split approval because this is a phone bill that's being split between general administration and finance. So what we're going to do is split out the differences of what they owe and bring it into our approval system so we can get these approved by the different cost centers as well. Let me add in the second line here for finance. This is going to be marked as telephone itself. And again, now that we've seen the total, we know everything adds up. We hit confirm. and we're able to push that through a different process. Now, I am an admin or a manager on this network, so I'm able to come into my task list and monitor everyone within my team's workflow processes and know where they are. So in this case, I did what's called a split check, and I have it with the phone wizard, and I've sent it over to Miss Elizabeth Cash. Miss Elizabeth Cash is sitting in the general administration approval level to approve the $400 phone bill for that cost center itself. So Ms. Cash has sent a task in Docuware. She could be also alerted by email that there's a task in Docuware. The document is here for Mrs. Cash to review, and she's giving a decision tree on the left-hand side with this workflow task. She may either accept it or reject it. If she needed to see more down in our GL table, she could still expand it and be able to view everything really quick and really easy and bring it back to a minimum screen. Another cool feature we added is the mobile accept. So maybe Mrs. Cash is out in the field doing sales calls or visiting clients or out getting lunch, and it's something that's come in really quick. She's able to pull out her mobile phone, go to mobile accept, and read that phone wizard has an invoice of $857.09 and her approval is $400. Does she approve? So giving you more tools to be more remote and be able to access all of these decisions quickly. So under this one, we will hit accept and push this through to the next one. The second split check activity pops up for Phone Wizard, and this one is associated with Fred Winter. Mr. Fred is sitting at his desk and he receives the task that this needs to be completed. He's able to review his piece of it as well. He can also hit confirm really quick on this. Once he hit confirm, the document is officially brought back into completion activity as we've seen before. And now your accounting department can now do a final review and complete this process and put it into your booking record. Now, real quick before we put it into any booking record, let's talk about this booking record. Here's where you can assign your accounting period. You can choose it to be any kind of nomenclature as you use for your accounting period itself. But also, we don't always pay by PO, and we don't always pay strictly by an invoice coming in on account. Sometimes you use credit card. And in this case, this was already paid by the credit cards, so we can mark it as paid by a credit card. All you would have to do here is mark that as paid by AMX, and you can put in your credit card number as well. Once you make those determinations and hit confirm, Docuware does the rest for you in the background. Now this time, when we come back in, you're going to see that we have a paid by credit card section that's now posted in red. And also our booking record now has a new booking record that says 2020-12 AMX. So not only are we showing what invoices are on the account and getting ready to be exported into our ERP system, but we're showing you also other invoices that are paid by credit card that you don't need to necessarily pay by check to the vendor, but directly to AMX itself because it's on a credit card. Again, giving you these tools and these quick searches to know what's happening really quick with all your documentation. So at this point, at the end of the day, as we're getting everything together, you're starting to wrap up your day and you need to get it into your ERP system. Well, it's a real simple click of the button at this point. All we're going to have you do is select your accounting period booking record, download an original format, and now you have a beautiful CSV file that you can take all the data of what was processed and put it into your ERP system. That's a real quick and easy way in order to eliminate human error when it comes to typing in your ERP. It eliminates duplicate invoicing happening on your network with a confirmation QA check to know that this invoice has already been paid or in the system. We're going to verify your vendors and make sure your vendors are registered with us and they're registered with you in order to get paid. And they have all documentation on file. If they don't have documentation on file, We'll help you alert them to upload their W-9 and anything else required. Lots of things we are able to do within our invoice processing pre-configured. Lots of ways we can build more efficiency and help businesses like yours grow quickly. Well, everyone, that was our demo for invoice processing. Nicole, I believe we have another piece we want to talk about real quick before we switch back over to the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes, Mike. So thanks for that great introductory demo. I'm actually going to turn my camera back on if you want to too. And we actually have a quick one question poll for you guys, just so you learned about the solution and you saw it in action. So we just want to get a feel for, where are you currently at with processing your invoices? So I'm going to launch the question right now.
Awesome.
So we'll wait until we get a good amount of votes there. But yeah, we just want to see, what are you doing now with your invoices? How are you processing them? Are you still using only paper? Combination of both? Maybe you are just pure digital, but you don't have a, centralized solution yet, or maybe you already have an automated solution, but you're just kind of checking to see what else is out there.
And while they're filling it out, it brings up a
Mm-hmm.
good point to talk about that Docuware is not the end all catch all for every problem. We may be a great supplement to fix certain areas. Today, you saw what was the pre-configured solution. We can still develop something out of thinking outside the box to fit your processes. And this type of system did not meet 100% of the criteria. You can still work with your team here and be able to build you a system that's appropriate for you as well.
Yep, definitely. So, all right, looks like we got a good amount of people who voted. I'm actually going to close the poll now and we can see where we're at. Share. All right, looks like majority of people are using a combination of paper and digital, but not necessarily with a centralized solution, based on what I'm seeing. So, all right, hopefully you guys, learned a lot from what you saw today, can bring back to your team. With that, we just have a few slides now to wrap up. So if you could go to the next slide.
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay. So on your screen here, we actually have a free tool called our Process Planner. And it's actually a tool where you can visually map out any type of process you want, so not necessarily invoice processing. But we actually, in the free tool, we loaded these different approval processes, depending on certain situations. So you can go in and see them, from start to finish. Definitely, if you are a visual learner, this is a great tool. So you can sign up at processplanner.docuware.com. And if we go to the next slide, this is a quote from the case study in your handout section. So this is Rebel Refrigeration. They're an AC and plumbing company in Las Vegas. And due to pandemic, they actually had to close their office and work from home. And they were up and running with Docuware in literally just a few days. So now his team at any moment, any authorized staff member can pull up any document they need, and they can do it all from home. And again, if they need to be prepared this fall, they're going to be ready for sure now that they have Docuware in place.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, so with that, let's open it up for Q&A. Again, I want to remind you what you saw today was introductory. If you want to see more, or even outside of invoice processing, Docuware can help you with those different processes. You can request a demo at docuware.com/invoices. Email us anytime with any thoughts or questions. If you're just curious to get more information, at contact.us@docuware.com. Or if you're already working with an authorized Docuware partner, definitely reach out to them to get started and kick off this process. So with that, let's kick off the first question. Let's see. Can you speak on the security and confidentiality levels of the invoice and other documents in Docuware?
Oh, absolutely. what's one piece we didn't dive on in this introductory, but one thing we do with our security is we're fully compliant and we can segment the different cabinets. So just because we're all looking in one cabinet, one folder, doesn't mean necessarily we can all see the same documents or the same views that everyone else sees. So we're very granular when it comes to security and permissions. You just let us know what is the best fit for your business, and we'll make sure we apply everything appropriately as well.
Cool. All right, next question. Regarding the solution settings, can we select default and then choose one or two features from advanced so we end up with a sort of customized setting?
That is a very good question. Has Bob joined us today?
Yes,
Yes.
he has.
Oh, look at Mr. Bob Mutarelli on the phone. Everyone, we have special guest on the line, Bob Mutarelli. Yay, welcome, Bob.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, actually, I think I caught that one in the questions area, but I did, and I think I did answer it. But for everybody else who doesn't see the questions, the the safest way to do it would be to run the service registration form and actually create a quote unquote advanced system. Once you launch that form, you can see that it's simply a matter of selecting checkboxes to really customize the system the way you want it. So if you wanted to enable, let's say, after the default settings, don't include the booking record active. So if you wanted to just activate that, you could just run the service registration form and check mark, activate booking record. And that's all there is to it. It's really the safest way rather than editing the index entries of the workflow parameters in the file cabinet. And it helps keep things in sync so you can troubleshoot later, you know exactly what options were selected. So I hope that answers your question.
Great, thanks, Bob. That was Bob. He's our solution architect here at Docuware. He's just on the line, just assisting with the questions you guys have. So the next question is, so all the data in the GL is actually posted in the customer's accounting system. Is this information posted automatically with other data captured right into that accounting software?
Well, we're going to capture the data via the CSV, and then you're able to manipulate it and move it around as needed for your import process. If there is a more in-depth process needed for extraction, we do have another cool tool that goes more in depth with the data and structuring of what you need. It's called our data export tool. With your pre-configured solutions, we're going to give you basically the industry standard setup so it can pretty much go into every system. But again, there are those special cases where you need more information, and then we have that tool called data export to be able to help us with that.
Yeah, and if I could add a little to that as well, I noticed that you were curious about posting automatically. That really depends upon the ERP system. If there's an automated process that they can consume, like maybe they monitor a folder, well, we can certainly put our CSV into that folder, and the presence of that file may kick off your automated consumption. The same thing can go the other way. When the ERP system actually pays those invoices, you could generate a file for us to then consume so that we can update those invoices, especially the ones marked posted, right? Because they're going to sit in the posted area until they're marked as paid. And we can update them as paid once we receive confirmation from the ERP system via some text file. And that can be automated through our auto index process.
Great, thanks. I see a couple people are asking about costs. So if you want to learn more about pricing, definitely send us an email and/or we'll follow up with you after that regarding that question. Let's see. Next question: Can you flag documents for legal review? And can you flag a document for auto archive after a set number of years?
Absolutely. All those things are standard features within Docuware and can be set up certainly at implementation time.
Okay. Just reminding everyone, if you need to hop off, I will be sending out the recording by tomorrow morning, along with a copy of the slides. We have a few more questions, but we're still good on time. So is there a way to set default GL codes by vendor that could be edited if necessary so that you don't have to code each invoice?
Not at this time. that's a roadmap item, but right now the GL coding does need to be done manually.
So what happens with that, because we didn't really dive into it, when we spin up a new system like this, you're going to give us your Geo codes, and we're going to have them available to you in that drop down where you saw me put the GL in. So they're not really just predefined, but if you have very specific ones or optional ones that are used sporadically, we can program those in as well. That way they can be selected by a user.
Got it. All right, next question. How do the packing list and the PO get into Docuware?
There's a couple different ways that can happen. So from the PO perspective, if you're printing the PO and filing it away, well, we don't want to change the way you do things. We just don't want you to physically print it anymore. So I have another tool that's available called the Docuware print driver. With this Docuware print driver, when you go to print your PO, now instead of routing it to the physical printer to output, you're going to route it in the Docuware and be stored and matched with every other document associated to it. So as an invoice comes in, it has that PO number, it matches it to the PO. If the packing slip was received in the warehouse and the warehouse scans it in, it will start matching it to the PO itself as well.
All right, great. Next question. With hundreds of vendors with hundreds of different invoice formats, how does Docuware identify and capture the relevant data on an invoice?
That's a tiered system, but with the intelligent indexing, we're going to remember it by the way you're selecting where it is on the form. So again, it takes us 3 times to fully learn where the invoice number is, where the total number is. And when I do my trainings with my customers, I always tell them, don't wait for that invoice to come in 3 times. That could be 90 days, 180 days. Go ahead and train the system while you have the new invoice there. Put it through, run it through the intelligent indexing services, get it registered, get all the information needed to put it through automatically. So that next time it comes in, it will be more of an automated process of capturing and pushing it over.
Great. All right, we have a few more questions. Can the GL and cost center be edited by the approver without AP having to edit it before it pushes to the approver?
That would be the check and recheck step, so we could build that in, yes. If there was a piece there that was incorrect and needed to be corrected, we can add that as a QA step for that piece to happen, which in our current demo, we saw the check and recheck. That way we can edit the GL or the cost center and then put it back through the process again properly.
All right, looks like we have one more question. If anyone has any further questions or thoughts, comments, email us at contact@us@docuware.com. Can you add other meta tags to the data?
I'm probably referring to index values. And Bob, what's the full definition on that, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if that's indeed what we're talking about, I really didn't understand the question the first time I read it. But if we're simply talking about index values, as I said earlier, this is Docuware at its core. So yeah, it's simply a matter of in the configuration plugins, just add a new field to the database, and it becomes an index value that you can add to any of your store dialogues or search queries.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Great. So looks like that's all the questions we have. Thanks guys for sending those in. We're excited that you guys are curious about what you just saw, and we want to continue the conversation. So if you need to, go back to your team and review what you just saw and come up with some further questions, we're definitely here. We want to help you and automate those invoice processing for you.
Absolutely.
So yeah, again, on your screen, there's different ways to reach out. You'll get an email from us no later than tomorrow morning with the recording, slides, and the handouts that you can reply to directly if you have a question, and I'll be on the lookout for that. So any concluding thoughts before we end the webinar?
I just want to thank everyone for joining in and giving me your 45 minutes of time. I know it's very special, especially in this new remote times. So thank you very so much. I hope everyone stays safe and enjoys the rest of your week.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Take care.
See y'all later.